Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. David Song at the Rehab Hero Clinic, and today we'll be talking about how to squat deeper. Now, when it comes to squatting deep, you do have two types of demands that are required from the body. You have stability demands, particularly in the core and lumbar spine, and knees, and shoulders. And then you also have mobility demands that are required of you from the hips, ankles, and upper back, also known as the thoracic spine. Now, it's very important to address both concerns. For the purposes of this video, we'll be addressing specifically the mobility demands, because if you don't have mobility, how can you possibly control your stability when mobility determines the position that you're going to be in? So, to start with that, we're going to start from the bottom up with our ankles. Now, typically for a squat to occur comfortably, your knee should be able to pass your toes into knee dorsiflexion at least 10 centimeters. So to test this out, all you need is a ruler. Grab that ruler, place it up against the wall, put your foot right up against the wall, and see if your knee can tap that wall without your heel coming off. So you can do that test on your own. I won't show it today. I'll show it in another video. But let's say you can't achieve that, particularly because your ankle feels restricted, particularly at the front of your ankle. This is what you're going to do. So you're going to take a strength band, and these strength bands are stronger. Okay, so this band itself has about 20 pounds of resistance. You can find this on Amazon. I can drop a link in the description of this video below. So you can look up different brands. They're all pretty much the same. I've tried a billion different brands. It really doesn't matter. Just pick the one that you like or is the most cost effective. Okay, so we're going to take that band, we're going to wrap it around something super stable like a squat rack, something that won't topple over or shift when you pull on this band, okay? Now, we got both ends. We're going to bring them together, and we're going to bring that loop right around our foot, just below the ankle joint, okay? So your ankle joint is composed of three different bones. You have your tibia, your fibula, and you have your talus. Now, your talus has to move backwards as you go into ankle dorsiflexion. So it actually has to shift out of the way as your shin moves forward. Typically, people who have anterior ankle impingement or restrictions at the front of your ankle can experience or can have a tough time getting to a deep dorsiflexion position because that talus is just not gliding backwards enough. So we're going to use the band to help us get there and let our brain register the movement so that it becomes habit. So you're going to place that band on the talus, okay? So if you find that ankle joint, it's going to be on the bottom part of that joint line. So I'm going to put it right there on my foot. I'm going to pull forward so that there's a good, decent amount of tension on that band. And from this position, I'm going to lean my knee forward, okay? So you should find that the band actually helps you to get into a deeper dorsiflex position. And you should find that you can get over that 10 centimeter mark past your toes, okay? The important thing is also that you're not lifting at the heel and that your knee is tracking towards the second to third middle toe of your toes. You don't want it to be tracking inwards because that will put you in a valgus knee position. Likewise, you don't want to be on the more pinky aspect of your foot either, because then you're going to go into an ankle eversion or inversion position. So you want to go right smack dab in the middle. For those of you who tend to be more dynamic in lifting, so weightlifters, I would actually recommend kind of gaining a good amount of dorsiflexion in all the ranges, since your sport's a lot more dynamic and there's a lot more jumping and landing mechanics involved. So in that scenario, you're going to come in and then you're going to do what I like to call as a scour, is you're just going to rock side to side without lifting that heel up while you're in this deep ankle dorsiflex position. So you can lean in with your body a little bit to help you get that range, okay? And you continue doing this until that discomfort at the ankle starts to subside. So as it decreases, that's when you kind of know you're finished. Okay, so my ankle feels nice and loose now. I'm going to take the band off. So now that we actually opened up how much ankle mobility we have, we actually do want to do a quick motor control exercise, because just because we opened up how much ankle mobility you have, it does not mean that your brain knows how to use that mobility just yet. So we got to teach it, because think about it, you've been practicing a different type of squat the whole time your ankle was restricted, right? So now we have to practice a new type of squat. So often when I tell people, when they start loading up their body with their new range of motion, because it is a different motor pattern, it is a different way of doing that movement, do not load, don't do your first PR in that new motion right away. It's actually ideal that you warm up gradually to it over a period of days to weeks, because let's face it, your squat is different now, okay? So be careful when you're lifting out there, be smart, listen to your coaches, and seek their advice. So next now we're going to do is you're going to just use a pull here, and this is going to help us get into a deep dorsiflex position while we squat. You can use a doorway if you're at home, but since we're here and I have a squat rack, we're going to use a squat rack. So you're going to go down into your squat as you normally do. You're going to hold on to that pole, and you're going to drive your knees forwards, okay? So utilizing that new ankle dorsiflexion range of motion that you didn't have previously. So you're going to use that, make sure your spine is nice and neutral, and then from here you're going to stand right back up, okay? So you're going to squat down, bring your knees forward, and stand back up. So we're trying to train the brain that it's able to actually produce force and strength through that new dorsiflex position, through your whole entire leg, okay? So I would usually do about 10 to 15 repetitions of that until you get used to doing the movement without having to rely on that, and just being able to squat deep using your knees and ankles. Okay, so the next exercise we're going to do is a hip mobility exercise. This exercise is called the 90-90 hip switch exercise, and I personally really like it because it challenges your hip internal and external rotation while you're in a hip flexion position. And hip flexion, training mobility hip flexion is really important because that's the position you're in, hip flexion, at the bottom of a squat, okay? So to start, we're just going to take a seat. From here, you're going to keep your feet at least shoulder distance apart, okay? And you're going to bend both knees at 90 degrees, okay? Hence the name 90-90 hip switch. From here, you're going to open up one leg, bring that towards the floor. So this is going to external rotation here, okay? And as that goes to that end range, and you can use your arms to support your body, your other leg, your trail leg, is then going to go into internal rotation, okay? You want to try and maintain that 90-90 knee position. From here, if you were leaning back as I am, to support your body as you're going to that position, you want to try to keep your spine neutral, and then you're going to lean towards that internally rotated leg, okay? So right now, we're trying to push that. If I approximate my spine toward that thigh is going to go into deeper internal rotation. And we're going to, from here, take 3 to 5 deep breaths, okay? The purpose of that is to kind of recruit your parasympathetic nervous system. And by doing so, it'll help your muscles to relax in these positions, okay? You don't want to be in a high strain status while you're stretching out the hips, because it's kind of counterintuitive. If you want muscles to relax, you gotta relax, okay? So after about 3 to 5 breaths, okay, you're going to then reverse that motion. So you're going to externally rotate that internally rotated thigh maximally. Keep that, keep your thighs nice and wide and open so you're going to feel that groin stretch occur. You're going to take your externally rotated thigh, start to internally rotate it into neutral, and then once again, take this thigh into full external rotation, and then your trail leg into full internal rotation. And once again, you're going to lean towards the internally rotated thigh, feeling those outer hip internal rotators stretch out, okay? Namely your TFL, gluteus minimus, gluteus medius, anterior fibers. Take a nice 3 to 5 breaths. So I typically like to do this for 3 to 5 repetitions each side. That'll take around 2 to 5 minutes. Really depends on how tight you are. I'm lucky, I have nice hips, but that's because I take care of myself. Right, reverse the motion. Up, up, down, down, lean, stretch, breathe, right? So for the purpose of this video, we're just going to do 2 repetitions. If you find that you need to do a few more repetitions, just pause this video, get a few more in, and then just press play again. It's pretty simple to do. Okay, leaning back again, up, up, externally rotate, internally rotate, lean to deepen that internal rotation. Okay, make sure you can breathe. So from here, we now have opened up our hips a bit more. Once again, You could return back to that kind of dorsiflexion assisted squat to just kind of assist your body into using your new hips, using your new ankles for this type of motion, okay? You want to warm it up through movement, practice, and patterning before you load it up. You don't want to go super heavy right away. Do a few, 2 or 3 warm-up sets before you start lifting. The last exercise we're going to do requires a foam roller. We're going to use this foam roller to loosen up 2 things. The first thing is your lats, or your latissimus dorsi muscle. Your lats are huge muscles of the back that act to both not only internally rotate the shoulder, but it also acts as spinal stabilizers, which is particularly important for movements like the squat or deadlift. Being able to mobilize these so that you can get into external rotation underneath that squat bar is really important, because as you can imagine, if you don't have that shoulder mobility, you're going to try to compensate somewhere else along the kinetic chain. Likewise, in order to get underneath that barbell comfortably, your thoracic spine has to have sufficient extension so you could get comfortable underneath that bar as well. It's not too uncommon for someone to actually have thoracic extension hypomobility, leading to problems at the knee, because the knee is trying to compensate for the lack of extension experience at the upper back. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by sitting into onto your knees and ankles. And if you're at home or at the gym, please use a yoga mat or a gym mat to protect your knees. I'm on comfortable rubber gym floor. My rubber here is fairly soft, so it doesn't hurt for me. But if you have sensitive knees, please be smart about it. From here, you're just going to place your arms on the foam roller, and you're going to roll that foam roller forward into a child's pose position. But we're going to modify this yoga pose for our strength and conditioning purposes. What we're going to do is introduce what's called Pnf Stretching, which is a type of stretching that is for contracting and relaxing a muscle group. So we're going to go into that deep stretch, emphasize how much extension you're experiencing in the thoracic spine. So once you got as far as you can possibly go, you're then going to take your arms, you're going to push down onto that foam roller as hard as you can, with as much high effort as you can, without actually lifting the body up. So we're doing isometric contraction of the latissimus dorsi muscle. So you're going to go in, and for 5 seconds, you're going to press down as hard as you can. 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're going to relax. And you should find that you can go a little bit more deeper into shoulder flexion. Your chest is a little closer to your floor. The face is closer to the floor. After about 5 to 7 seconds of relaxing, you're going to repeat the contraction and push down as hard as you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And here we go, one more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. So if you want to do more repetitions, I typically like to do 5 to 7, or until I've reached the desired range for the shoulder and thoracic spine. And that's it, yeah. And you want to practice a few reps of doing a light warm-up set when you're doing your squats. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and save this video for future reference. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to link the tools that I used in this video in the description below. Stay tuned for part 2 of the series, the squat stability warm-up routine that you can do to optimize your squat and to squat pain-free. Cheers.